Okay, so let's see if we can do a little bit of a review here. Has anybody seen Alan Braden come in? Anybody expect to see him today? This is for him, if you would be in charge of it for me, because it's dark up there.
He was just in his office with a student.
Oh, is that right? Well, that comes first, doesn't it?
Even over chocolate.
That's not chocolate. It's a book, which is just about as good to someone who teaches English. A book or a piece of chocolate will do any time. Okay, Jennifer, do you want to just go down those a little bit? These are just some jokes that I thought I did last year. I mean, you know, it does. It's a plant. Just remember that. Plants are good for you, right? I had this discussion with my daughter yesterday. My older daughter is a nutritional, she never got her formal degree, but she was about 2 classes shy of it. And she says, yes, we just have to keep eating more plants. And I said, chocolate is a plant. Okay, go ahead on to the next. You can go past that. This is a fountain that was in Las Vegas in one of the candy shops, chocolate shops, and I thought I wanted it installed in my bedroom. I don't want to have to wait when I wake up, you know, just to dive in there. And good old Dave Barry, you know, he's got a wicked sense of humor. I love him. Okay, so what else we got in there? Yeah, all right, is there good chocolate and bad chocolate? I see a couple people saying, no, all chocolate is good. Let me tell you, wrong. If you're eating some of these things, and I know who you are, because if you tell me you don't, I'm not going to believe you. How about this one? Always got to spare one of those handy, don't we? Yeah. And my favorite of all, say it again louder. Say it, say it, say it.
It's not really chocolate.
This is not really chocolate. This is candy. Okay? Say it with me. This is candy. This is not chocolate. We'll be doing a bit of talking about chocolate, about Hershey, because I've been at a war with Hershey since 1982. And last year, when I gave my long chocolate talk, I reviewed it. Jennifer sent me a copy of it, and I reviewed it, and I thought, man, I was really bad on Hershey. I don't want them to get all over me and send an attorney to the door and say, you've slandered our company. And so I said, don't put it up on your webpage. Jennifer, put it up on your webpage. I've been vindicated. And it's good. So when we get to Hershey, you're going to learn some things that you probably never knew or even suspected that, and I think Milton Hershey would be rolling over in his grave if he knew what's happening to his company, because he was a good man and had very good intent for chocolate. And he did know that chocolate not only tastes good, but it's very good for us. However, his chocolate company has become a candy company. So, even though they say right on there, milk chocolate or dark chocolate, don't believe it. That's labeling off of some of those bars. Okay, what else have you got there, Jennifer? What's the best chocolate? People always ask me what chocolate. You know, she makes me really nervous because she's got a much better figure than I do, you know, and she's taller than I am. Anyway, they'll always ask me, what's your favorite chocolate? And that answer is the one I'm eating at the moment. And I have lots of favorite chocolate, but surprisingly, I don't eat a lot of it. I nibble a piece, maybe once a week. But it's all around me at my house. The word on the street is, if you break into her house, don't bother with the art, steal her chocolate. And that, those of you who have seen it know that might be true. So anyway, good chocolate or bad chocolate? All right, now I think I'm up with you, Jennifer. This is primarily where chocolate is grown, down here in the Iberian Peninsula. Was that right? It's the Iberian Peninsula? Where the Aztecs and the Mayas were, okay? And it was spelled just like it is up here, Xocoatl, and the X sounds like ish, Ishquatl. And this is where most historians believe that the origins are. Okay, go ahead. Another map of it. The Olmecs were probably the first ones to make chocolate or eat chocolate. And then, of course, the Mayas and the Aztecs. Okay, go ahead. Here is a picture of Quetzalcoatl. And I gave a talk one time to the English and Irish historians, and I titled that talk, Thanks Q, because Quetzalcoatl is the white god that returned to Earth and visited the new hemisphere, and was mistaken for Christ returning, because Christ had promised that he would return. And I've always thought that, to me, the fact that Quetzalcoatl appeared as a feathered serpent, I mean, why not appear, if you could be anything you want to be, appear to the people who would recognize you as a god? And so Quetzalcoatl is said to have brought chocolate from the other world, and he got in a little bit of trouble because he brought it and gave it to humans. He wanted to share. Now it's off. I guess I'll just shout. Nope, it's green and it's red. There, it's green again. Okay, so he gave these chocolate beans to humans, and they planted, looked like a bean. Where did I put my chocolate beans? Here they are. Here are samples of beans that are taken out, and these are roasted, and they're all different flavored, and you can buy them that way, and they're kind of good. So you don't get to eat them, you just get to look at them, and somebody will get them back to me because I'm about to eat them, I think. So anyway, Quetzalcoatl appeared and brought the beans, and they were planted, and you can see in the bottom in that what looks like a basket the cocoa tree growing. Okay, go ahead, Jennifer. This is another picture of Quetzalcoatl in tiles. It's beautiful. Notice those white teeth, and you notice the cocoa pod open here. Can you go back to that other one again? Back one. Oh, no. Okay, go up to the next one. Sorry. So these teeth in this mask of Quetzalcoatl look very much like the open cocoa pod. Okay, go to the next one. If you see that. And that's just a thing that they do because they look pretty fine. Okay, let's go a little bit further. This is another one of the, I think this is an Olmec piece, and the cocoa pod is not that size to the body, in case you. That's what happens. We didn't need this anyway, did we? It's probably important stuff I wanted to tell you. So here's a cocoa pod, and it's dry, but you can hear the beans rattling around inside. And some cocoa beans are this color, but most of them are brighter. They can be yellow, orange, red, and light brown. They can be all sorts of different colors. Okay, go ahead. This, again, here is one of the Mayan gods grinding chocolate. And what's interesting to me is, why do you suppose these tongues hanging out? I don't know. I've seen a lot of people work like that, and when they work, they've got their tongue hanging out of their mouth, and it's just a quirk, I guess, that we have. Okay, go ahead. And I like this one. I always say, let's caption that. The servant over here on the right has brought the cocoa or chocolate, chocolato, to the head of the palace here. And what do you suppose he's saying? You touch my chocolate, you die. That's what I thought, anyway. Okay, we can just skip through a few here. Here's someone drinking the chocolate, and it was very thick. It was frequently mixed with cornmeal, and it would be quite thick. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Is it? It's stuck? Hmm?
It's thinking.
Oh. Well, in the next one, I think there should be a picture of some women pouring the chocolate, and they would stand on stools or steps and pour the chocolate down to a vessel on the floor, and this would make it frothy. And I didn't bring my mochateca that you make it frothy these days, because I have a little gizmo that you just push the button and it goes zzz, and it makes nice froth. It won't go. I guess we have a little, it always happens. That's okay. We don't even need that. We need to get to, John, I just want to get to where the cocoa tree is. What's interesting about the cocoa tree is that its lifespan is pretty long. They can live 100 years if they're well protected and taken care of. And the problem now, when I started to talk about the chocopocalypse, you know, the apocalypse, the chocopocalypse, you say it 3 times and see how. The problem is that instead of 100 years, they're down to 40 to 70. And that's pretty scary when it comes right down to it. So the cocoa pods grow out of the bark of the tree instead of on a branch hanging down like the citrus fruit or anything else. It comes right out of the side of the tree. It's all right. I can do without it. Okay, just keep going there. If you can. This is review. We don't get it the first time. But just think all of these images are going into your brain and they're sticking there. Okay, here's a pod, and this is the Olmec god, and these are some of the beans. Does it surprise you they're bigger than that when you first see them? I think maybe the next one, Jennifer? No, go on. We'll go to, oh, this one I like. If there's a father god, like Quetzalcoatl, there has to be a female or a mother god. And this is the mother god, and her name is Ishkakab. And she we have the Olmec and the Mayans, and she brought the cocoa and the beans, as you see, they're all over her garments. And she is a nurturing goddess. And so she would be the ones who would teach people how to use it and to love it, and that it was not only good tasting, but good for you. So we have the father god and the mother goddess. Okay, go ahead. Some more. Just go on to the, okay, and this is one of the old ways of grinding the cocoa beans. These cocoa beans have been dried in what's called fermented. Go ahead. Here's the one making the chocolate, and that's how it was frothed early on. Okay, go ahead. Oh, now we have Cortez, good old Cortez. When he showed up, he was very much taken with Montezuma here, with all of the gold work. I mean, crowns and gold all over their garments, and the golden cups that he drank his chocolate from. And it said that he drank 50 cups of it a day. I seldom can handle two. Seldom get through one. If it's good chocolate, I mean, this Nestle's or Swiss Miss or stuff, that's not chocolate, but you can drink that all day. Well, Cortez was much taken with those golden vessels, and Montezuma would drink his chocolate, throw the golden vessel out into the lake. So his friends were doing a little bit of lake raking. That was before Trump said we need to rake the forest and the lakes and everything. Okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead. So Quetzalcoatl gave some to Cortez to drink, and he didn't like it at all. It was just blech to him. And if we tasted it as it was mixed then, we wouldn't like it at all either. There was no sugar in it. They spiced it with chilies and lots of cornmeal and so on. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, we can just pass up some of these. Go ahead. Yeah, I have one just like this. Okay. Go on. And on. So here we have an early Aztec temple on the right, which is built on the grounds, or no, this new cathedral was built on the grounds that the Aztec temple was built. And this still exists in Mexico City. Okay, go ahead. And this is a picture of Quetzalcoatl. Now, a lot of you will probably think it looks very much like the Christ figure in art and in literature, very much so. And to me, he always looks a little bored. And I couldn't figure out why, because in these, people still bring cocoa beans to offer to Quetzalcoatl, because they're grateful, because we're going to have it in the other world, because when he left, he took cocoa beans back with him. So we have that guarantee that in the afterlife, there will be chocolate. Yes. I always told my dad if there wasn't, I wasn't going. That's all there was to it. Okay, go ahead. Just an imprint of Quetzalcoatl in chocolate. And it's funny, this was made in Vermont, I believe. And it caused a riot because there were groups that said, religion and chocolate, no. So don't ask. Somebody's got to complain about something all the time. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so drinking chocolate was Spain's secret. When Cortez he just passed over chocolate, didn't want anything to do with it. And then that was Cortez. Then when Columbus came, when he went back on his first visit, he took a handful of cocoa beans with him And he planted some on some islands and where it would have been warm and they would have grown. And he took a few back to Spain. And then it was 1606 before it started making its way to Europe. Go ahead, I think there's a, and chocolate was once banned. It was banned by the Catholic Church because there was a big debate. She really does make me nervous. I have to get out here in the front. The big debate was whether the women learned to like it a lot more than the men did, except the monks in the Catholic Church. They're the ones that were grinding it and secretly drinking it and mixing different flavors with it as sugar came along and vanilla and other flavorings. So they liked it a lot. And then the women were drinking it in church and they dared drink it on Fast Sunday. And so the debate was, is drinking chocolate breaking the fast? And there was had to be a proclamation. There's probably, go ahead, Jennifer. This is the treatise, whether it breaks the fast or not. And they decided, I'm sure there was a little pillow pressure, that maybe it wasn't breaking the fast at all because it's so good for you. So drinking chocolate does not break the fast. Now I'm not advising you to do anything that you've been told not to at your church, okay? Go ahead. So we can, well, go ahead, Jennifer. I think there are a couple here I want to talk about. So these are just different words for chocolate, and I won't linger over those. Go ahead. Here's the cocoa tree, and you see these pods grow right out of the bark. They don't grow off a branch. And a tree may have 40 or 50 pods on them that can be harvested, and they can harvest twice a year. Okay, go ahead. And these are some of the different colors of the pods. And the colors a lot depend on what particular type they are. There are 3 primary types. Go ahead, there may be listed in there. This is the cut pod showing these cocoa beans. And when they're pretty much white when you cut open the pod. And they're spongy, but they're very good. They taste very much like lychee, if you've eaten lychee nut. So they're very sweet and very good. Okay, go ahead. Just some, okay, go ahead. Okay, here are the 3 particular types. The Criollo is the earliest variety, and that one is what is called the heritage bean. And in order for us to even eat any chocolate, the Criollo bean must be present in there somehow because it's sweeter. It just makes the chocolate much better. Okay, go ahead. I should talk about the Porcelana bar. This is the very best, voted all the time, and I happen to have one here. It's a small bar. It comes sealed, it comes numbered and signed because I only make about 10,000 bars a year. And this bar, I didn't pay that for it, but this bar can cost up to $35 US. And it's very, very good. This particular company, Amadei, is out of Tuscany, and they make some of the finest chocolate there is, just hands down. Okay, go ahead. Trinitario is a pretty common bean. It grows well everywhere. And go ahead now. And this is the Forastero bean. And this one is the most prevalent bean there is. And there are many, many hybrids. And you can see that it's about 85% of the world's production of the cocoa bean. And well, it says it has a perfumed aroma with a fruity and bitter taste. So fruity and bitter together is quite a taste if you're just trying it by itself. Okay, go ahead. This is the processing for making chocolate. There are up to 12 steps in making chocolate. Go ahead. I'm giving you a handout on that, so you'll see that in a few minutes. Okay, go ahead. And these are just some of the equipments. This is the fermentation process. After the beans are dried, they go under this process of, and then they go to a roaster. And I don't know if any of you, well, you've probably been someplace where people are roasting coffee. I used to cross the San Francisco Bay Bridge every day, and it was heavenly because there was the Ghirardelli chocolate factory, and they would be roasting the chocolate, and oh, it smelled so good. Roll down the windows and just, and then there was Hill Chocolate or Coffee Company there, and so you had the coffee aroma and the chocolate. So I would always roll down the right-hand window and get the chocolate. But it was wonderful. They don't make it there anymore, right as you cross the bridge. Okay, go ahead. Then they're winnowed. They take off the thin shell of the bean. Go ahead. And then it goes to a grinder. And up at the top is an artwork of a chocolate grinder. And this is just one particular one. This looks like one of those big screw type things that just grinds away. But there are all kinds of grinders. Okay. And then they press it. And why they press it after that is to separate what's called the cocoa mass or cocoa liquor from the cocoa butter. So you get the cocoa butter and you get this what's called chocolate liquor or the chocolate mass. And I have some cocoa butter we'll just, oh gosh. Smell that. It's intoxicating. It's just great. So cocoa butter is white. It feels good. We'll pass it around. You want to let him feel it and just keep passing it around, and we'll give you one. No, you can eat it if you want to. You can rub it on your skin. It's really good for that. You can sit there and sniff it. You're going to get another one there, so yeah. But it's pretty fine, isn't it? I like this because this one comes from a company called Divine. And it is divine. So the interesting thing about cocoa butter, you can use it in cooking just as you would use any other kind of fat. And cocoa butter almost never becomes rancid. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. Okay, go ahead, Jennifer. And this is the raw chocolate or the chocolate mass that's separated from the cocoa butter. Okay, go ahead. Okay, you can skip that. We've seen it. Okay. And so then they start making it and put it together, and it goes through a machine called a conch. And the longer it's conched, the smoother it is. And there are a lot of companies that make the kind of gritty, wonderful pieces. Taza is one, and they make these little discs. And you pound this up a little bit and put some hot water with it, and it is good, tasty chocolate. It's one of my favorite drinking chocolates. A lot of people don't like it because of that grainy texture. Go ahead. Okay, and here, this just shows chocolate after it's been stirred around. At the Ghirardelli Company in San Francisco, it used to be the minute you walk in the door, right to the left was this conch. And of course, you're just overwhelmed with that beautiful, wonderful chocolate flavor. And then you just stand there and look at it because it's so glossy and smooth and beautiful. Okay, go ahead. Tempering, this shows a piece of chocolate over here that wasn't tempered correctly. And this one is tempered correctly. Chocolate is a tricky thing to handle because if you don't get the right kind of chocolate, every Christmas everybody's making candy and they get a package of Nestle's chocolate chips and we'll melt that down and make chocolates. Wrong, that is not a melting chocolate. That one is a baking chocolate, and there's a big difference between how they act. And you'll get this bloom pretty fast if you don't use the right kind of chocolate. Go ahead. And these are just some chocolates that were molded. Okay, go on. And, okay, now we start the real business. So these are the way that chocolate is made commercially or industrially. And this is industrial chocolate. Their purpose in life is to be consistent. It's sort of like McDonald's. If you go to Australia and go to get a Big Mac, they don't do those anymore, do they? Get the quarter pounder. It's going to taste the same as the quarter pounder you get across the street over here. So the idea is consistency and a particular texture. And your Hershey bar is going to taste the same no matter where you get it. Hershey bars, you probably don't know, a lot of them are made in Brazil, in China, and in India these days. Why? Cheaper. Okay. So, tells you cheap. All right, so today what I really wanted to talk about is what's called the bean-to-bar chocolate. And the bean-to-bar movement started pretty much in the 1970s. I don't know where to stand. Hello over here. I had a classroom like this once, and there was a wall there. And I'd have to talk here, and then I'd have to go over here and talk there. And, you know, I guess Aristotle taught everywhere, so I guess teachers can too. The bean-to-bar movement really took off in this country about 1970, maybe a little earlier, but pretty much 1970. And what happened was these things weren't tasting good to people. I thought, man, I bet I can make something that will taste better than that. So a lot of the people who really loved chocolate decided that they had to try to make their own. And one of the first people who tried to make chocolate was a little group down in the Bay Area, and it was Scharfenberger. And they're the ones that coined the name bean-to-bar chocolate, because they were taking beans directly from a farmer. Know what I said? A farmer, one person who grew beans somewhere, and were grinding them and winnowing them and conching them and roasting them and doing all of that, and then making chocolate by hand. And the bean-to-bar people primarily employ 1 to about maybe 75 people, no more than that. Then the middle people, there are a lot of them that still do bean-to-bar, and they may hire anywhere from 100, well, over 100 people would be the middle maker. And one of the middle makers is Lake Champlain. It's in Vermont, and you can get it locally. So I have a little bag for you to take away when you leave. And you don't get any for your cousin who's related to your second great-grandmother by marriage. You get 1. Okay. So there's a Lake Champlain sample. And then there is one from this company called Cho, Tcho, Cho. And it's made in Berkeley, and you can get it readily here, even at Walmart. And it's always a little bit less at Walmart if you dare go there. You do, I know. And it comes in a variety of flavors, from your milk to dark chocolate, and then also some that have inclusions, and that means they've broken up some candy pieces and put it in, or infused, which means that they put the flavor into the chocolate itself, and it comes out in like perhaps a caramel flavor, or raspberry is one that's popular these days. But there are also raspberry inclusion where there are raspberry pieces, and that's what Cho's done with a beautiful bar. You sampled this one, didn't you, Leanne? And it's very delicious? Delicious. This one has blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries in it. And these are pieces in the bar. So you'll have a couple of the middle makers, and then there's a little piece of Fran's chocolate. Now, you probably know about Fran. Her chocolate company is in Seattle, and she makes very good chocolate, but she's a small person, being the bar. And she makes other that are a lot like what other people do. They just get beans from anywhere, mix them, and come up with a flavor that's delicious. Okay, so one of the reasons we're going to have this Chocopocalypse, I did do it. This is a book that I just recommend to any of you, if you've got children, read it to your children. It is a delightful book, but it does talk about the Chocopocalypse. And it's from a young girl in England discovers she's going to do a science experiment. And it helps children understand how you do the scientific process, how you have a general theory, and then you do some brainstorming and come up with ideas, and you experiment and test your theory and so on. So she goes through that. It's kind of a weak experiment, but it works for the book. But it's delightful. It's written by a fellow who is very British. So you have a lot of delightful words in there, and it is just fun reading. I don't care how old anybody is. It's fun. So we're going to have a Chocopocalypse. One of the reasons, too, is that there are companies who don't believe in... Can you go to that other one in there that's the case study, Jennifer? That was with the other... It's the other document on that. We'll see if it works. This particular document, thank you. This friend here who sent it to me was published in National Geographic. And we'll see if we can get it up, because it talks about child labor. And I don't care who you are, if you think it's okay to send a little 5-year-old boy out there with a machete that's as big as he is and sharper than sharp, or out where there are diseases or all kinds of wild animals, you let those little children go out to work, and that's okay with you? It's not okay with me. So I care who makes my chocolate, where my chocolate comes from. That's, you know, I want to do something with companies that are ethical. This company, my friend again, was the only chocolate maker that refused to do anything about child labor. Absolutely refused, and I think I have that in a document that I'm going to give you. What troubles me about theirs is, yes, Enjoy is Hershey's product. This Hershey's product you've enjoyed has helped support children in need through Milton Hershey's School. It's not a big school, and it's back in Pennsylvania. I care about them too. And I'm glad that he started the school for these young children that they were orphan children. So it was a good thing and a good intent in the beginning there. Okay, is that one going to come up? If it doesn't, I can just talk about it a little bit here, and maybe you can see the workforce. In Africa, there are two places that grow almost all of the chocolate in the world, and that is the Ivory Coast here and Ghana. And those are the two countries that have the worst child labor situation. And last year in one of my talks, there was a man who said, "Look, that's the way they've always lived. They're not going to change if we're trying to do anything." And I thought, well, that is an attitude, but I think that we need to care. I mean, we really do need to care about what's going on in our world. Our world isn't small anymore. You know that. Just pick up your iPhone and you can talk to somebody in Australia or Japan right now. Okay, so the wages in Ivory Coast are 34 cents an hour, U.S. And here we are battling to get $15 an hour to work at McDonald's or wherever. In Ghana, they do a little better, is 45 cents an hour. And the poverty line, international poverty line, is $2 an hour. So you can see that even the grown-ups are not paid very much in those countries. And pretty much there are 4 children in a family. And in Ghana, the children 5 to 17 go out to work in these fields. And we know that that's about the time that ours should be in school and be learning about their world and a lot of other things. There are not very many that do go to school. In Ghana, it's a little bit better because a lot of them do both. So these poor children are going to school, and then they are going out and working in those fields. And did you have a question? Were you scratching your head? Okay.
Yeah, many of the children who work on those farms are kidnapped from Burkina Faso and the countries north of the Ivory Coast and Ghana, and they're trafficked.
Yes. Yes.
Enslaved.
Yes, it's horrific that these young children that are out working, some of them are out by themselves working, and they get kidnapped and trafficked. Some of the young women are immediately put into the sex trade. But on the farms, there are a lot of disasters. Yeah, okay. Well, don't worry about it, Jennifer. I'll just talk through it here. One of them is spraying. You know, in order to get those trees to produce the cocoa, they need to be sprayed and taken care of very well. It happens, you know. This is a tattoo of one of the people who work at a chocolate company here, Bean DeBar. Very proud of what he does. Very proud. I don't think we're going to see a Hershey bar on his hand. Okay. Oh, and this is what you didn't ask me this question. Who eats the most chocolate?
I do.
Yeah. Well, we think. Okay. The big long line is Switzerland, and Germany is next. Ireland is next. United Kingdom is next. I can't see who's next. Okay, and then who? Sweden?
Sweden.
Okay, Australia, Netherlands, Then what?
United States.
Okay, so they say that we eat about 9.8 pounds a year. It's currently about 11 pounds per capita. You know, from these little guys on up to us big guys, about 11 pounds a year. I don't think I do that, but who knows? I'd like to. I'd like to. Well, anyway, spraying is pretty bad. And then the workforce, you know, they, like I said, with these big machetes that they go out with, and they, who's got the cocoa pod? You got the cocoa?
It's on the table behind you.
It's behind me, right where it was. These need to be split, and they're a little bit plumper because they're full of liquid. And the only way you can split them, they're kind of hard like a coconut, that the only way to do it is with a machete. And you see those young children out there having to do that. Oops, that was a thumb. Oops, you know, who knows? It's just not a good thing for young children, but a lot of them don't have a choice. And there are a lot of the chocolate companies, the bean to bar people, who are very ethical, and they're quite concerned with the children. Okay, lots of heavy machinery, and they do a heck of a lot of work with that. Okay, so this is the definition of the bean to bar. The chocolate makers do it in-house. They import the beans right from a farmer or from a plantation or two plantations. One of the companies that I like a lot is this company called Askanois, and they are so ethical that their bars, everything that you see here, this paper is recycled paper. They, this little doodad string that it's tied with is used over from the bags of cocoa beans that are imported. So they cut them into little strips and use them to tie their bars. This particular company is in Missouri, and it's sort of a medium-sized company, and it does several different things. It makes plain chocolate, different amounts of chocolate in the bars, from the milk from about 34% on up to dark, way dark. They've got a new one coming out that's 85%. And they use primarily 3 ingredients. If you look at a lot of these labels on the chocolate bars, you'll find way more than 5 ingredients. And that gets into initials and names that we just absolutely do not know. And we're putting them in our bodies. So, of course, I want to know what they all are. I want to know what PGBR is. I want to know what lecithin is. I want to know what vanillin is. So it's that's all fake stuff. One of the writers calls Hershey's Mock-a-lot. It's a mockery of chocolate. And I'm not being hard on them. Really, you don't have no idea what I'd like to do to them. That's why I'm holding both hands in my... I'd like to jump up and down on the people, because what they do is they lie to us. And I don't like people that lie to us. Okay, what else have we got? Oh, that's the documents. Okay, we're done with that. You can just turn the lights back on. We'll just, because we want to get to the serious business, don't we? I thought for a while that you all came to hear me, but I know why you really came. Because it said chocolate tasting. Okay, so what we're going to taste today is some bean to bar. I wonder how many, I don't know where my helpers are. Helpers, where are you? They're on break. this union-free labor, I don't know what you do with them on break. Okay, so what I have here, these are all just, this is what's called a tasting wheel. And it starts here with the chocolate beans in the center. And then there are different flavor profiles that you can get in chocolate as you taste it. And we're going to taste some that you can have distinctly different profiles. So I don't know, these, don't walk out of here with these. Last year I did 3 talks and I ended up missing 10 of them. So, do you want to just...
Pass those out.
Yes, please, and just maybe 1 to 2, however it works, because I think there's probably about 30 of them. Okay, so what this is, it shows you what the different the flavors that you might get. Where do we have? Lindt you see in the grocery stores all the time. Lindt and Ghirardelli, and they have all kinds of bars that you can get. This one is a 47% chocolate, and it's called, on this one it's called dark. Usually dark chocolate starts about 50%. But they have now, they're called a milk, and the milk is anywhere from Hershey's 10% chocolate. Guess who they lobbied to get that, the standard for US chocolate? The FDA. So Hershey is pretty powerful. It's one of the big 3 in chocolate making or candy making. And they lobbied to get the percentage of chocolate in a bar, their bars, would be 10 to 11%. So with Lindt, you get 47%. And on your good bars, you will see that percentage written right there. So Lindt has one that is 90%. And in 90%, the first ingredient is chocolate, second is cocoa butter, and then cocoa powder processed with alkali. And the reason it's processed with that is that it takes away some of the bitterness or tartness of the chocolate. And then it has something called bourbon vanilla beans. I have a friend who said, "It's bourbon? We do not touch liquor." I said, "That's just the name of the place it's from." And bourbon is the name like a county in Madagascar. So there's no liquor in it unless you get the vanilla that you look on the label and it says 52% alcohol. Okay. But these are the vanilla beans that are put in these bars. So that one's a little bit more decent to eat. And I guess I have to tell you some more about Hershey. Hershey is one of the companies that still uses fresh milk in their chocolate. And all of the milk is sourced from about 90 miles around for the company. And so they get that fresh milk and taken to the company to process into the candy bars. And it's done very quickly. But they have a process that they use now, and this was what one of the things I was doing battle with them over, because they would not, Hershey does not give out any information about the percentages of anything that's in the candy bar. One of the things I like to see on their label is something called natural flavors or other natural ingredients. We have no clue what those are or how much of those are in anything. But when they bring the milk in, they go through a process called lipidizing. And do we have any chemists in here? Lipidizing is a process to make the milk deteriorate very quickly. So it also produces something called butyric acid, and that's something I talked with a friend of mine who is a PhD in chemistry, and he works with the cheese companies. Tillamook Cheese is one of his customers, and some of the other big cheese companies in the country. And he said that this acid is used in cheese to make it taste like feta cheese. It kind of has a sour taste to it, and other cheeses. And a lot of people now, I mean, Hershey changed their recipe, but they didn't tell anybody. They don't bother to tell you that they've done this. And people have been complaining that the Hershey bar these days has this sort of soury aftertaste, and it tastes like baby burp. And I haven't tasted baby burp, but I've had plenty of it on me, so I know it smells pretty sour. And they called it other things too. So that's one thing they do to the milk that nobody tells you about. So how many gallons of milk do you suppose they use a day? Pretty close. It was about 500,000 gallons a day at Hershey. How many cows do you suppose they have to have in that 90-mile area? You know what cows do? They poot and they plop. And what does that poot do to the atmosphere? Methane gas, okay? And what do you suppose, after they've fed them all of these hormones and these chemicals, that plop does? It hangs around in the soil a long time, and they have to have major disposal for the cow manure in that 90-mile radius. I can't imagine, I've been thinking for 2 days about all of the people that live back there. They're breathing some pretty foul air. And it's, I worry about them too, just as much as I worry about these little children out there working child labor. If you've ever lived around a cow farm, it's pretty foul. Besides, you have to watch where you walk, and and we don't have to. I bet there aren't very many here, if there are, besides me, that have gone out and gathered dried cow pies to start fires. I lived in the Wild West when I grew up. Yes, and my dad says, you do not get any ripe ones. You get the dry ones. I didn't want any ripe ones either. Okay, so the first one I think you might like to taste and try. Let's see, can you find the Scharfenberger? We're going to pass out some water, a little water, and some soda crackers so that you can cleanse your palate between each of the chocolates. You'll want to do that, otherwise the flavors will get all mixed up and you won't know what you're eating. So my helpers will give you a little bit of water, and just know that we're not going to pollute anything, so we'll put all of the bottles in a... You're going to leave me? You better go get your chocolate. She can find you a piece. There's a little... You want to give her a little bag of chocolate? She's my friend. Used to be a secretary. Loved her to pieces. See you. Bye-bye. Okay, and then, so take a little bit of water, and then after you've tasted the chocolate, you'll want to eat a soda cracker, and then also...
You want a cracker every time?
They know what I need, protein. I need my protein.
Did you want a cracker every time?
Yes, in fact, you can just hand them out some crackers if you, yeah. So, and this is, this one isn't. No. I'll let you read this label. You want to read this label? You know, Scharfenberger, as I said, was one of the first people to make bean to bar chocolate. And this was again that those two men wanted to have ethically sourced chocolate and chocolate with the ingredients that they knew what was going into it. And then it was so good. Now this one is a semi-sweet chocolate, so it's going to be a little more sour, a little more tart. And the problem that I have with Scharfenberger, and when Scharfenberger first started making chocolate, because it was on the West Coast, we could get it, and I loved it. Oh boy, did I like that a lot. Then came along this fellow called Hershey, and he said, man, that's good chocolate. And so he started courting Scharfenberger to see if they would sell to Hershey. Well, after about 5 years of courting and upping the price, they gave in and sold to Hershey's. Now, Hershey moved the company back Midwest, and they claim that they have not changed the recipe. And I say that claim because I don't know. But Scharfenberger is still very good. If you get a milk chocolate, it's wonderful. Then Hershey was so concerned, so concerned about the reputation that they wanted to get into the organic business. So they bought a company called Dagoba. And it was all organic chocolate. And they bought that one. But Scharfenberger, they paid twice as much and more than the company was worth at the time they bought it. That's how bad they wanted to help their reputation. So just know if you get Scharfenberger that that's who that is. Okay, what do you think about that chocolate? Where would you put that one on your flavor profile?
It tastes like liquor.
It what?
It tastes like liquor to me.
Like liquor?
Yeah.
It's a heavy chocolate flavor then? Did you, what do you think about it?
Just tastes like basic dark chocolate to me.
Like Baker's dark chocolate?
Just basic dark chocolate.
Just plain the basic dark chocolate. Okay, so that one is sort of your medium range. So here's some little crackers for you too. If you get a whole meal here, you didn't know it. I have friends of mine let me know that they were going to the Buddhist temple for a sukiyaki dinner the other day, and I was going to church. So they're going to the Buddhist temple to eat sukiyaki. I'm going to my church, and all we get is bread and water. You know, so.
You need to change churches.
Yeah, I know. We need to join the Buddhists. Okay, so we get you some crackers and some water, and then we'll be ready to taste the next one.
Marlene, what was the percentage of chocolate in it?
Oh, in that one, it's excuse me, let me see if I can find my little. That is 62% chocolate. So that one is on the dark side. It's about the middle range of dark chocolate. Okay, so the next one I think I'd like you to taste is Guittard. Guittard is readily available everywhere. When I had another class, we had about a 6-week class on chocolate, and we tasted chocolate chips. And we tasted Nestle's, and we tasted Brand X, you know, the one you get at Costco. It's the bag about this big and about that big around. Brand X chocolates. We tasted Nestle's and Guittard and Calabat and some other chocolate. And to a class, 3 classes, to a class, they uniformly decided that the Guittard was the chocolate chip of choice that they would want to bake cookies with. So, so you've got the dark, okay, and it's usually better to start with the dark, because if you start with that wimpy milk chocolate, you're not going to want to eat dark. Okay, so this Guittard is a 70%, and its name is Musique Foncée. And this is one that you can't just buy in the store. I get it because I have a friend who's a source. Okay, so where does that one fit on your profile? Is it creamy? Is it fruity? Hmm? So, do you like it? Better than the last one? Yes. Mm-hmm. It's probably got a little more sugar in it. And that makes a difference. When you go to buy candy to eat or chocolate to eat, look at the first ingredient. If the first ingredient is sugar, look at another one. This is
Sugar.
Sugar?
Chocolate is the 5th item.
Chocolate is the 5th item on the ingredients? And then after chocolate is the lecithin, emulsifiers, barley, malt powder, and I like this one, artificial flavors. You know, you look at this and think, oh, Lindor, that must be good stuff. Wrong. This isn't the one that has the PGBR in it. But okay, so go ahead, let's do that next Guittard, the milk.
So disappointed, that was my favorite chocolate.
Which one?
The Lindor. I didn't realize it wasn't.
Well, you know, when we go and we look, if you can go to Safeway or to Fred Meyer or anywhere, a lot of them will have two sections. They'll have your organic section, and you've got chocolate there, and then they have this other, and what's called the candy section. And that's what it's called, C-A-N-D-Y. And it's for a reason, because of all of these other ingredients. It doesn't mean that you can't like it or don't eat it. I mean, I've been known to eat a piece of Hershey on a s'more. I mean, that's it, right? It wouldn't be a s'more without it. Okay, so now you've got a nice milk. What is this one? Where does this fit on your flavor profile? Sweet and caramely? Caramely? And you know, these flavors that you can taste come from the soil in which the cocoa is grown. It's very much like wine. That terroir is important in chocolate, very important. And I have one here that I didn't have them put out for samples because I thought, man, a lot of people who haven't tasted and really thought about the flavor profiles might not like this one. This one is from a mono bean to bar maker in Utah. And they win prizes in the International Chocolate Awards, and they're coming up again this year. They're putting out their announcements now. But Amano, Art Pollard, who started the company with a friend of his, was studying physics, and he got interested in the machinery. I'm going to need the water. Vanna back there, would you bring me a water, please? I have two Vannas helping me. Oh, they're ready for more chocolate now. I see. Okay. So the next one that we are going to try is Calabat. You find that one? And we have a milk, oh, thank you. Milk in a dark. Now, Callebaut is very good. I use it a lot. And I don't see one of my friends here, and we're not sampling that piece anyway, that was here last year. And everybody just wowed about this one piece of chocolate that had a distinct caramel profile. And she said, "This is disgusting." And I didn't get a chance to tell her that she's right, that all of the chocolate aficionados would say that has a disgusting taste, because the chocolate, now I like it a lot, and it's one that I just can have, eat a piece here and there. And but it's made with one of the Forastero hybrids, and the regular chocolate makers are not for hybridizing that Forastero bean, because it grows like weeds, and it's just available. Anybody can get it anywhere, and so it's not considered by the real chocolate snobs as a good one. Okay, so tell me about Callebaut. You had the dark. So what do you think about the dark? You like Callebaut, I know. He's one of my sources, and I keep him supplied in Callebaut. I have others I keep supplied with Valrhona, and we'll get there. So Callebaut is a chocolate that's made in France or Belgium, and it's very good. It's one of the top chocolate tiers in the world. So you've tried the dark. Are we ready for the light? And you're rinsing out your mouth in between tastes so that you're not getting them all confused. Okay. Do they have the milk one ready? So these are my friends Karen and Susan, and I think you should all give them a big round of applause and cheer, because they're feeding you chocolate. And they work for chocolate too. Everybody knows where my house is. My friend Leanne the other day said, "Well, I haven't tried your sipping chocolate." And I said, "Well, we'll have to do some choosing here to have a drink of a cup of hot chocolate or sipping chocolate. There's a difference there. That's next year maybe." And so she came out, and we were going to have a cup of hot chocolate, but she dared mention the word chocolate. And don't do that to me, especially in my house. What happened?
I ate so much chocolate I didn't have room for the sipping chocolate.
We didn't have a cup of hot chocolate. And we didn't eat very many pieces, did we?
Well, I ate quite a few.
Oh. She lies. Yes. Any of you that are concerned about sugar, there's beautiful chocolate made that does not have sugar in it. There's beautiful chocolate made with different kinds of milk: almond milk, coconut milk, cashew milk, oat milk. And one of my favorites, I don't know if I can find it quickly, is hiding. Oh, it's probably in that box. But it's made in Dubai, and it's made with camel's milk. And it's very creamy and beautiful, both the milk chocolate and the dark. When I got it, this man said, "Are you sure you want to buy chocolate from me? I'm the enemy, you know." And I said, "I thought I'm your enemy." And I said, "With chocolate, there are no enemies." So anyway, he was at a chocolate fair, and it was legal transaction. So, but it's very good. And camel's milk, I've been told, hardly a soul on the planet has any allergy to camel's milk. And in the Middle East, if you go to the dairy section in a store, you have camel's milk, goat's milk, sheep's milk, cow's milk, just about anything that you want. So it isn't something that we just have to say, ugh. It's a good source of milk. Okay, so tell me about this one, the milk chocolate.
The milk chocolate is good.
I'm sorry, didn't hear you.
Because the milk chocolate is good.
It's all good?
It's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, well, I'll get you some now that's going to be really good. Are we ready to try Valrhona? Okay, now Valrhona, when you get an opportunity to come up and look around these, I have Valrhona over here in, just because you like this so much, I had to bring you, you'll notice there's some missing. She was at my house and we were doing some tasting, I said, oh, here's one that you might like to try. That's the problem. I said, oh, here's another one that you might like to try. And she said, this is the best thing I have ever had in my mouth. So she liked that a lot. Okay, so this is Valrhona chocolate. Now this one I'm going to trick you. This is a dark, and it is a 55% dark. But let this one linger in your mouth a little bit because I want to know about this flavor profile. Valrhona makes chocolate in Lyon, France, and it is considered one of the best chocolates in the world that they make. And they make all sorts of flavors and all different kinds of milk chocolate. You're getting something, aren't you, Kurt? Yeah. Okay. And you're feeling a different, there's something in that chocolate? That's a good guess. She guesses pineapple. Think fruit. Closer? Oh, see, you're all in that thinking of the good flavors.
Tropical fruit.
It's a tropical fruit.
It's not, no, I have.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
I've had it.
Nope. Any other guesses? Mango's a good guess too, but not the right one.
It's not avocado.
No, not avocado.
That is fruit.
It is fruit, and it's put in chocolate a lot. What? Nope. Passion fruit.
Yes.
Okay, now you're leaving me?
We have class.
Oh dear. Okay. Well, there's. So to grab another one piece more out here. Can you give them, Vanna? I want these. I need a couple pieces of that other one, the red one. He's saying, "Oh, not the red one." There are people in this audience that I've ruined with chocolate. You know, haven't I? You what?
I refuse to believe that.
Oh, well, I've made a lot of converts from milk chocolate to dark, I can tell you that. And what I'm not doing this year is sampling any white. Now, white chocolate, I got some white chocolate for you then. We're going to have to talk.
Okay.
There are some excellent white chocolates out on the market these days. Okay, what have you got? Okay, do the Valrhona milk. Let's go ahead. Okay.
Can I ask something? What is white chocolate? I hear people say it's not really chocolate. What is
It isn't really chocolate if you are thinking that chocolate is the color of what you've been getting here. But it is primarily this stuff. The cocoa butter. And again, be very careful, read the labels, because there are criteria for what can be called in this country white chocolate. Now, as I said, you know, Hershey is the one that lobbied, not labored, lobbied to get the percentages in this country to be what they're listed as on the bars, and they get to put 10% or 11% chocolate or chocolate mass or chocolate liquor in their bars. What they did, because they were producing a lot of white chocolate, but if you taste it, you know that it's pretty waxy tasting on your tongue, and it's just like, oh, who knows, just like wax on your tongue. That's what it tastes like, melted wax. And what Hershey did then was get the Chocolate Manufacturing Association of the U.S. in cahoots with them, and they went to the FDA and started lobbying they started in 2000 to do this lobby, and they were successful. So in 2004, it took them a while, you know, it took them a while to buy Scharfenberger, keep upping that price to get that good chocolate. Anyway, they lobbied so that a white chocolate bar in the U.S. now means that it is 20% cocoa butter, and it's a minimum of 14% milk solids. So there's that's 34% is cocoa butter and milk solids, and 3.5% milk fat. So they're adding back in milk fat. And then a minimum, and I love this minimum for Hershey, 55% is sugar. Okay, and if you get some of the better bars, you're not going to find that percentage of the sugar. And if you are getting this beautiful, wonderful, pure cocoa butter, it's not going to leave a waxy taste in your mind or on your tongue or anything. And it's, I'm sorry I didn't bring some. In fact, maybe I did. No, I guess I didn't. Oh, I did too. This particular maker is in Seattle. It's the organic and the good side of Seattle's chocolates. It's called J. Coco. And this particular bar is Cayenne Veracruz Orange with white chocolate. Now, I mean, it is so good that you would line up to buy the bar. And the fact that it's got cayenne in it, don't worry about that with this one, because it's very light in there. It's orangey. It doesn't leave a nasty aftertaste or anything on your tongue. It is just wonderful. So there are some good white chocolates. Okay, so what do you think about Valrona's? You've had the milk chocolate? Okay. And what kind of overtones are you getting from that? Okay. Butter, buttery, smooth, wonderful taste. Well, as I said, you've just eaten some of the best chocolate in the world. And okay, so let's do the pièce de résistance here. Hey, I know I've got some college students in here. Are you dying of starvation? Would you like to have some real chocolate? I'm sorry, I can't even pass it off to my. People ask me why I even have it, and I say to teach people that it's bad stuff. You know what would be interesting though now is if I unwrap these. I ought to do it. and let you have a piece of Hershey's? You're good? Okay, go ahead with that one now. So this one is also a Valrhona, and I have another friend. I have chocolate friends. And this friend had been over, and I said, oh, I want you to try some of Valrhona's newest treats. And so we tried it. Oh, this is pretty darn good. And I gave him half a bag. And not long after, about an hour later, home, but the bag is empty. Didn't make it to the bridge. Okay, so what are you tasting? Strawberries. Do you like that one?
Yep, I do.
Good. That's pretty good stuff, huh?
Very good.
Yeah. It's strawberry, and it is made with no chocolate at all, but it works like chocolate if you're working with it. You can make a ganache with it, or melt a little bit of it and put it in frosting, and it is good. Is it not?
So they got butter.
Cocoa butter, yes. Lots of cocoa butter and a smaller amount of sugar. The Valrhonas that you have just tasted really have maybe 3 ingredients, and that's all you need to make just wonderful chocolate. And sourcing the beans from good areas, and Valrhona does. This other one, it's open, so if anybody does want to try it, in fact, you might just want to smell the bag. It's got quite a different flavor profile, and it would, yeah. Okay, you can. They've got a little spoon. As I said, this company, Amano. I see something here on the top that was calling me. Smell it.
Smells chocolatey.
Smells very chocolatey, very chocolatey. And you found the Mickey Mouse? Mm-hmm. Well, what this is, and you'll see with me just holding it just a second here, that it's melting in my hand. It has a very low melting point. And your really good chocolate will be like that. It'll melt in your hands pretty quickly.
So it's not an M&M.
No. But I'm not going to let any of it go by. It's do you get the fruitiness in that right off? Mm-hmm. Sorry, I've got it all over me now. This one, this Dos Rios from Amano. Somewhere is my Amano. Oh, here are these these camel milk chocolates. Al-Nasima. I have a grandson who has a palate that he can separate flavors faster than anything. I mean, I'm just overwhelmed with how quickly he can detect flavors. And I gave it to him, not telling him what it was, and I turned my back, and he had, because of the marking on the chocolate, he was able to photograph it on his iPhone and find out where it was from and what was in it. And I thought, I hate him. I do. I hate him. Well, I lost my Amano. I have to find my Amano. Here they are. A couple of them. The tricky part about a chocolate is that depending on what happens in a year, 2 years ago, you remember, we had a very, very, very rainy season. And when I went to the Amano people, to Art Pollard, and he said, boy, he says, I want you to taste the new Dos Rios, this Dos Rios bar. And he said, we had a very rainy season where this is sourced. And he said, you'll see the difference in the taste. It was so much sweeter. It was surprising to me. It's the same chocolate beans from the same plantation, but it had a completely different taste. Okay, so what are you tasting in that one? After that strawberry, it probably tastes like, But, it's got it has just a wonderful chocolatey taste. There's nothing else in there that, I mean, it's just a rich, wonderful chocolate. Okay, so Amano, Art likes to fool around with different flavors too. So he has created, here's a mango one, but this has chili in it too. And this one kind of bites. And a lot of people like that chili flavor. So he did that. And then this one is quite an interesting one. Has cardamom and black pepper in it. And that is a wonderful flavor balance in his chocolate. And this particular chocolate is 60%, and again, it's fair trade, and it says, this is made with the Dos Rios chocolate, and it has natural hints of bergamot orange in it. Did you sense any citrusy taste in that one chocolate? A little bit of lavender, perhaps. I mean, it takes a while to be able to distinguish all of these different flavors, and you can be trained to do it. I noticed that one of the Cadbury, you know, all these chocolate companies, they're bought up and swallowed up. I never know who. I quit eating Godiva when Campbell Soup bought it. And now Godiva is made by a Middle Eastern conglomerate of chocolates, and it doesn't taste like Godiva anymore. So a lot of these small companies get bought up, and then the larger companies too. The Cadbury is made in the U.S. It's a completely different recipe, even though it says on it licensed by Hershey. And you know what they would do, take out all that chocolate. And by special assignment from Cadbury, or special license from Cadbury. It doesn't taste like, I've got Cadbury here from England, and I've got it from US, and they're different bars completely. So if you want a Cadbury bar, order it from Amazon and get it from Canada.
I have a question. So why is it that you can eat a fake chocolate like Hershey's, just eat, and you can never seem to satisfy your sweet tooth, but just from these small samples I've tried, I can tell that just a small little bite would take care of that.
That's what you told me too, isn't it? That if you're eating good chocolate, you don't have to eat a lot of it to be satisfied, because it contains cocoa butter, usually pure cane sugar, and vanilla beans or vanilla extract, rather than vanillin, which is a wood product, a byproduct of wood, and all of these other things that are in them that they're not satisfying. I know I used to eat 2 or 3 Hershey bars and think nothing. Then, yeah. But with these samples, I bet you feel like you've had a chocolate OD right now. When I do samplings in my home or other places, or if you go to a chocolate sampling, like there are a lot of companies in Seattle that do them, and you'll pay about $20, and you'll taste perhaps 4 different chocolates, and they'll typically do a fruity profile or something so that you're getting these distinct tastes, but you couldn't handle any more than that. And the sample sizes are about the size that we've had here. So if you get good chocolate, you are satisfied with just a small piece. You don't have to have more. But you know that that other stuff just makes your stomach growl and you want more of something. Sugar. That's what Hershey's did for us and taught the world to love sugar. And Hershey bars were in my dad's World War I Army rations.
Sure.
And World War II, you got the Hershey bar. And those Hershey bars, you could trade them for nylons or for other things. And but it did teach the world to like sugar. So those of you who want to go on diets or whatever, get good chocolate and satisfy yourself with one piece. I didn't go into health benefits of chocolate, but there are many health benefits. I was on a speaking circuit with a cardiologist once, and he was talking about the benefits of 4 ounces of red wine a day. And I was talking about the benefits of 1 ounce of dark chocolate, 70%. Good chocolate, not with all of those other additives in it. And he found out that, he said, I didn't realize that it was so high in those antioxidants, and it's really very good stuff. And you're back there from where Baker first started on the East Coast. Baker was one of the first. They still make chocolates, and I noticed the other day that they're making an eating bar of chocolate. But be careful, look at the ingredients, because I didn't stop and look, so I don't know. Well, did you learn anything about chocolate today? Other than I don't like Hershey?
I have to say, about 1.5 years ago, I made the conscious decision to stop eating fast food with my children and teach them healthier habits. And after today, I'm definitely going to not be buying Hershey's anymore.
Well, all I can say...
I want the good stuff.
Oh, I don't blame you. And the good stuff, the Hershey bars, I forgot what I think I got these 2 for... They were 2 for something. And I think it might have been $1.90 for 2 of them. And this other bar over here, this Cho bar, is about $3.69 or $3.99, and this is pure stuff. This is good. So if you want to, look in Walmart, look in Bartell's or some of the other places where they have sections that are candy and chocolate, and you can see that you've got some good stuff. So, I hope you pay attention to the labels. And now I've got these other little handouts. Did we eat all the chocolate?
Probably.
That what? Yes, in the grocery stores, you'll find a section that says candy, and that's where your Snickers and Pot of Gold and Payday and all of those other things are that you eat. And I like Mounds once in a while, and I'll eat a Reese's piece of chocolate because I like that. It's a nice taste. It's not just all bad. And some of the great chefs, the great chocolatiers, you ask them what they eat off duty. They work with Valrhona all day, and they can, oh gosh, I would love to spend a day in the Valrhona kitchen. But they say, well, if I just want to grab something, I'll grab a Reese's peanut butter. I like it. And there's, just know what you're eating. And yes.
I've noticed, I've been eating super dark, good chocolate for a long time for the benefits of health benefits. And I stopped eating all the crappy candy that you're discussing.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I noticed with the Reese's bars is they burn the inside of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, maybe it was the peanut butter. And so I just tried peanut butter. And peanut butter doesn't bother me.
Mm-hmm.
But for some odd reason,
It has to be the chocolate.
the Reese's,
Mm-hmm.
it just burns my mouth.
Yeah, and I can understand that because remember that Hershey's, or it isn't Hershey's, it's Mars. I didn't tell you who the big guys are. The three big guys in chocolate are Mars Company. They make the most money in the world. Mars started in Tacoma, Washington, and moved back Midwest, and now their office is in Virginia. And they make a lot of the stuff that, well, I'm going to give you some in your take-home bag because I know you're going to buy it anyway. Dove is one of their prime bars, and Reese used to work for Hershey, and then separated and went rogue, on Hershey. But it just remember what they're doing with the milk. And that sort of taste that just sort of bites or burns in your mouth, that's that lipidizing and letting that milk deteriorate before they put it in there. And a lot of the chocolates, like the Snicker bar, has a very, very thin layer of chocolate on it, very thin. And then they spray it with another kind of coating that gives it that toughness. But there's very little chocolate that you get in a Snickers bar. So did we eat everything?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Are there any more charts?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you for collecting. Now, do you want to help me with these handouts, Vanna? Oh, you've got a good handout for people. Okay, so in this particular handout, what I did for you is I copied this handout I'll pass out is a list of the bean to bar makers that are all, superb chocolate. Thank you. You want to? So what else? What you've got in this these little bags are a piece of Hershey's, because I know you're going to love it. You're going to buy it anyway, especially if it's on sale. I mean, why not buy it while it's on sale? And a Dove. You have Dove Dark and Light in there. So you can see those are two of the big guys, Mars and Hershey, and Nestle's are the three biggest companies. Mars made about $18 billion last year, Mars Company. Hershey's been slipping, and I always hope I'm contributing to that. But Dew couldn't put them on your s'mores. Yes?
So you mentioned that there was this good chocolate that didn't have any sugar in it. Can you tell me which one that one is?
That doesn't have sugar?
Yeah.
There's one called Lily's out, Lily, and it has stevia in it.
Uh-huh.
So, but it's a good company, and I think it pretty much
Flour, Lily, L-I-L.
Lilys. Yes, and there are other. If you get into the good chocolate section, you can look. There'll be several, and usually in the health food area. Never mind the one called. It starts with a P. Can't remember what it's called, but it tastes every bit like the cardboard it's wrapped in. And that is a flavor profile, as you can see on that chart. Last year we opened up these 90% bars and tried them, and uniformly they said it tastes like dirt. And it does, it tastes like dirt, because it's just that raw, heavy-duty chocolate. Okay, so we've got some more handouts. So that one, everybody got one that is the, the good chocolate makers. And I've got a list up here somewhere because I have quite a few of them out on display so that you can see them if you want to see what they look like. And this one is this one defines chocolate. So it defines everything that you got from. Don't forget my friends up on the front there. And when you put it in the sorter upside down, you get the staple here. So, at least, and I'm really good at doing things like that. So that one, it defines chocolate, and this one, gives you a list of from the FDA. So this one is what in this country, what the different percentages are required to be called dark or light or whatever. Okay. And I think this one, I'll give you. This one shows the bean to bar process that I said we weren't going to talk about. And then, my favorite of all, one called Chocoholic Sour on New Hershey Formula. So you can read all about this, what they've done to us, and I don't know how many. We'll give you a bunch over here. So, okay, if you've got any extras, I think that's all. The bean to bar, the chocolate makers, the Hershey Skinny, and let's see, maybe we didn't do this one. And this is the last one. This is just a little bit about chocolate too. So I want you to know that it isn't just me that hates Hershey's. It's a lot of people. And I copied off just some basic information. I thought, usually people ask me, but I thought, well, I'll copy it. You can take it in your hand and you'll have it forever. And you can convince Randy. Yeah. So, yes.
Name of the company at Lake Champlain?
Lake Champlain?
Yeah.
That's what it's called.
Oh, it is?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Lake Champlain.
There's another smaller one in Burlington.
Oh, is there?
And I can't remember the name of it.
Ah. Well, the Lake Champlain, you've got a little piece in here
Oh, okay.
of that. It's a little square. I can feel it. It's right there. Nope, that's the Friends. It's underneath it. There it is.
Oh, this
That one. Okay, thank you all for coming. If you have any questions or want to look at some of these little trinkets up here, you better, because I made them